I think part of it is we decided that in order for our action plan to actually reach its potential, we need to kind of move slowly through the process. And so we started with a core group of science teachers that have already gone to the ESD and received some STEM training, and just are slowly incorporating and tweaking our current curriculum to be more STEM-like. And what that means is that we have problem-based learning where students are engaged in real-world problems. The rigor increases. We add that technology piece. Engineering and design challenges are incorporated, and then of course we increase the mathematics too.
Now, to kind of add to that, for those at home that may not know exactly what STEM curriculum is, in detail, those obviously stand for something. So, right. Would you explain that?
Well, STEM curriculum, I wouldn't say it's like a brand new curriculum, because we don't have the funds to just go out and buy all new things, nor does it really exist. There isn't just one STEM curriculum that's going to be the magic bullet that gets the kids all on track in those 4 areas. So it's really taking something that you already do in the classroom that covers the science content and adding that design piece and infusing some technology with it, and some the engineering is your design piece, and some mathematics. So an example would be we build sail cars in 8th grade when we're doing our motion and design, talking about speed and acceleration. And we've done that for years and years and years, but if we take it and put it into the frame of a question that's solving a problem, for example, are wind-powered cars a viable alternative for the future in terms of being more energy efficient and more eco-friendly? So that was the question that we framed, and we did some reading and some background on land sailing and sail cars and wind energy. So they got that reading piece in there with Common Core. They actually saw some real designs of things that are out there. We watched some video clips of things that scientists are doing, and then we worked them through a design challenge. We had a template, and they actually had to do sketches. They had to figure out maybe what supplies they had and what were the constraints behind using those supplies. They designed the car, and we really stressed, instead of just getting a right answer, that there's more than one way to solve the problem, and that it's okay if you're wrong. In the real world, engineers rarely get things right the first time,
right.
And that's the world that they're going to be working in. So they had to work together. That's part of it too, having those 21st century skills of being able to communicate and work together. They built their cars. We tested them to see if they would, one, run with wind power, had to have free spinning wheels, covered a 3-meter course. And from that, when we time them and see how far they went, they can calculate the distance, the speed that way. And they could even, if they wanted to take it a step further, work on acceleration. So we had that math in there. We had the design challenge. Engineer, in terms of technology, that might have been a little bit weaker on that one. But then they get a chance to go back and they redesign, which is huge. You know, if you don't get it right the first time, then
right.
what did you learn in the process, and what
right.
did you see that you can
right.
go back the next time and make it better? And then, you know, they had to write it up. They had to write a claim and an evidence. Why was this the best design? Why did it work? So it's really just amping up what we already do, adding in some things and being really intentional about those 4 areas. Where in the past we focused on content only maybe, and that isn't
right.
enough, because with technology, kids can go to a computer and they can ask a question,
right.
and
Google
they can
it.
they can get the content.
What is the answer? Got it.
I mean, I like to think that it's not as rich as when I deliver it,
right.
I would hope, but they certainly can just find the answers to content questions.
Right.
And so we have to go beyond that. We have to
hands-on.
We have to change the way that we teach to embrace what's coming in the future, because our kids are going to have jobs in the future that don't even exist right now. And we have to have them prepared for that.
And part of the great part with that is that when they go to that redesign thing, which they're not used to doing things twice, they actually can improve, and they get ideas from other people, and they can see collectively how the engineering world works.
Plus, anytime we do something, we think, man, I wish I would have tried
right.
that.
So we actually let them go through that process again, which I think just carries it to another level, and then their content increases at the same time. So.
And Meredith, Kelly touched on a great point about these 21st century skills, and I also sit on a local science board here in the region, and had the opportunity over the last year to visit some of our businesses in the area who are STEM or STEM-like, and really talk to employers. First of all, see what the pathways are and what kind of careers and how their employees are coming to them, but also really talk to them about the skills that they're looking for. And so Kelly really touched on those 21st century skills, which are creativity, critical thinking, communicating, collaborating, all for the purpose of solving a problem. And that was really what, just here in the Tri-Cities, our local employers said are the big 21st century skills that we really need to have our students prepared with in order to enter the workforce. And I think that's, what Kelly was saying is it's not just about the content anymore or about the activities that we do, but it's really about that real world learning and those transferable skills that are going to make our students ready to compete in this global economy and this market and take these jobs that are really currently in Washington.
And even here.
People coming from,
We have a
people
lot.
are coming from other places to take these jobs because we don't have currently a large enough STEM capable workforce.
Right. Now, Marian, how are kids responding to it in the classroom?
Well, they're really excited about it because it's not just, it's a different way for us to approach teaching. And they're excited about testing out their cars. They're excited about seeing, I know at the 8th grade at Enterprise Middle School, they just recently did a STEM lesson where they were looking at airbags and different things and how to protect the person inside of the car. And so they used eggs and they added balloons and different things, and they used a water bottle as the main part of the car, and they actually tested them to see if it would break at different intervals and different speeds. So they're doing so they get excited about it, and they get to test out all those things that they want to do and create and do those hands-on learning and work together because they're talking about things and even talking about outside of the classroom, which is wonderful.
Are you finding that kids that you come across that are learning this this different type of way, I guess this new way of learning and education, are you finding that it's motivating them and giving them more drive to want more of this in the future?
I think overall, yes. I think it hits another group of kids, too. I mean, you have some kids who are fine with reading and answering questions because that's what they're comfortable with, but there's a whole other group of kids that...
They need that hands-on
Well, even beyond
learning?
Hands-on, that really just
The relevance.
designing, it gives that purpose. That question, why do I have to learn algebra?
Right.
Or some of those, you hear that a lot.
Right.
When am I ever going to use this?
Right,
Well, we're
right.
giving them that... This is when you're going to use it.
Right.
Because it's a problem. Instead of just, this is what we're learning, we're going to solve this problem. And the problems that we create with STEM are real problems.
Yeah, it's true. I remember in algebra class, when I took it, it's like, we were never learned why we did it. We knew that we had to do it. Meaning like, why do you take the square root of this? And this actually sounds to me that you're really applying this is why, and this is the final product of what's being done.
And with math, we're actually integrating the math into the science. And so they're seeing the relevance through the math in the curriculum that we have through STEM right now, even without working with our math teachers.
And I think looking at jobs, too, in terms, it's not just what am I going to do for a living, but what do I really love? Because anymore, things that they really love can be turned into a job. And I think if you list out any job, you can, if you break it down at its core, it has some STEM component to it. There are very few jobs anymore that I can think of that don't have something when you really dig down at the base level that aren't related to STEM. And they need to know that. Because
that was our big aha, I think, when we were in Tech Willow. We're like, wow, STEM jobs don't require 4-year degrees. They're actually, a lot of them are right out of high school. We didn't think of all the STEM, even in our area, and how we need to prepare them for that.
And really getting our students excited about science and mathematics and engineering and some of the CTE courses that they will then take in high school, because a lot of our students who aren't going to go to college might not see science and math as a pathway to a career, because that typically has been, if you're going to go to college, you need 4 years of science, 4 years of math. So really helping our students understand that science and math is just an important, and all of the STEM pieces, but are an important component of the world they're going to work in today, whether they go into a job right out of high school or they go into some other type of training or to a 4-year school. Really just making sure our students understand that pathway so that their lack of knowledge about their careers isn't going to limit them their education, so that they have that knowledge so that they can choose the right pathway for whatever they want to do.